Episode of Groovi Tuesday. My name's Paul Church from Clarity Stamp here in the UK. How's everybody doing today? I know it takes a little bit of a while for everyone to join the room. So as soon as I start seeing we've got some viewers tuning in now, so I shall do my usual waffling until I see some chat popping up on the screen. I wonder whether it's going to be Mo first into the chat this morning like she normally is. Anybody there? There we go. Good morning, Mo. Hope you're well this morning. I am indeed. Thank you. Hope you are too. So there we go. We've got the lovely Lorraine. Here comes everybody. Not the rain, Lorraine. I've got Helen, Karin, Anja, Bernie. Good morning, everybody. Shall we all of a sudden there's a we've got the lovely Jane, Ken, Sharon, Tina, Susan, all our lovely regulars. Josie, good morning. Glynis, Tracy. Oh, I can't keep up now. It's just that's a technical term. So welcome. Another episode of Groovi Tuesday. We're on episode 104 and we're on part 5 of the Leafy frame. We've been working on that over the past, will this be the 5th week? And yeah, really enjoying it, sort of just chilling out for the hour, getting in the groove, doing some colouring. The lovely Sue is in the room with you today, so if you have any questions, she's there to help. She'll pop all the links up for you. She's normally quite good. She's normally sometimes one step ahead of me. I mean, she's only sitting down in the room underneath, so I'd probably just stamp the floor and say, Sue, come on. So let's start off with our weekly weather report from all over. I can see we're all coming in this morning. So it's a little bit overcast. It's quite muggy. I've got the fan on in here today. It's quite muggy, a little bit overcast. I think the sun's trying to come out, but then it also looks as if it's trying to rain as well. So what's the weather like? It's dull and crawly, but warm. Yeah, same here, Karin. Sunshine near Wimbledon. Oh, Helen, you're near Wimbledon. I've been watching Wimbledon past week really. Some games I watch, sometimes I fall asleep. So it's cold and rainy in South Norway. Oh dear. Breezy with some cloud in West Berkshire. Lots of varied weather reports today. Raining in Glasgow. Oh, there you go. It's a real mixed bag today, isn't it? I mean, according to the little weather report on the computer, it's meant to be 21 degrees and partly sunny. So, but you know what? It is what it is. We just deal with it, don't we? I mean, that's all part of, I mean, what's that saying, Barbara said? If you don't like the weather in the UK, just wait a minute and it will change. So, yeah. That's my message from Sue saying the sound is all good. Thank goodness for that. So otherwise I've just been waffling on and sort of doing mouth, just moving my mouth and you can't hear anything. So yeah, glad everybody can hear me. All right, okay. So this is the 5th week now. We've been looking at 2 particular plates. We'll just have a bit of a catch up whilst everyone's pulling up a chair. Good morning, lovely Pat in Cornwall. Raining, lovely. There we go. So the initial part, excuse me, I was trying to stifle a yawn, but it didn't work. Okay, so we've been looking at the Leafy frame, which is an A5 plate, one of our poetry plates, and it has a lovely frame around the outside with some lovely words in the middle. And prior to looking at this particular design, the previous weeks we was looking at the Jane Nesterenko lattice and using the lovely rose and the design. So we looked at various different techniques, didn't we? We did a little bit of white work, we did some colouring. Well, on this piece, I'm sort of combining all different sort of techniques. What I've shown is that you can take the frame exactly how it comes, or You can use elements, or you can make it smaller into a square. So it's all about having choices. And just looking at a plate, and don't think, oh, it's an A5 plate, I don't make cards that big. You can crop it down to whatever size you choose to. It just takes a little bit of thinking on where to stop it, what to sort of carry on with, and then just sort of having a play around and seeing what you can come up with. So this was my practice piece that we've been working on, and I was testing out various different techniques on. I've been using the Dorso crayons to colour. Normally I go with the pencils, but I thought I'd have a look at the Dorso crayons, because I tend to use the Dorso crayons when I'm colouring in larger areas. But I thought it'd be great to use them for smaller areas, like the leaves, the roses, etc., etc. So that's what we've been looking at, and this was my practice piece. Let me bring in a piece of white card so you can see. We tried different ways of applying the colour. Let's go on a yellow piece. There we go. That's better. And sort of practicing mixing colours together, whether you went direct onto the parchment and then blended, whether you blended on the mix mat, whether you did the oil on the parchment and then blended. And then the lovely Glynis suggested we take the nib to the crayon as well. So it's showing various different ways to apply, especially in smaller areas, because if you've got the crayon and you want to get into smaller areas, you can't really sort of sharpen the crayon, so to speak. You can use the edge, but to get into really small areas, it's a little bit difficult. So this is where the mix mat comes into play, that we can mix our colours on there and then use our blending pen with blending nibs to pick up and apply the colour. So it's all about choices. Now, I did see a question just pop up there. Let me see if I can scroll back. Who is that question from? Where's it gone? From Karin. Can you make the leaf plate larger? You can. It's all about just having a look and extending the design. So you're only restricted, therefore, on the size of your parchment. So if you was going for A4 parchment, you could definitely make it larger, because you would stop at that point and then just continue it on. And likewise, coming across, I mean, you could stop at that point, turn the plate around, and then you can do a really big square as well. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of options in this plate, of whether you're making it smaller, larger, using it as a corner. I just had a message from Sue. Apparently it's the lovely Glynis's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday from all of us at Clarity and all of us in the Groovi Tuesday room. So I bet you're 21 again, Glynis, aren't you? I say again that, no, you're 21. You're not 21 again. You're 21. So I'm sure you'll have a lovely day with Pete, and I'm sure you'll spoil rotten. Lots of cake. Oh, don't get on me on cake. Anyway. So, okie dokie. So that's what we've been looking at. And for my finished piece, this is what I did. And hopefully some of you did at home as well. So I took the design exactly how it came. Then I added in the rows from Jane's plate. And then I put the verse in from the poetry plate. Now there's so many different poetry plates out there that you could choose any of the poems to fit within the frame. See, that's the great thing about the Groovi system. It has that mixability of it. So you can take a bit from this plate and a bit from that plate and sort of see what happens. I've got a couple of samples here. So this one's been created by Linda Page. Taken frame, I mean, a lot of picot cutting on this one. Then we have another piece by Chris Walker, using our lovely designer papers in the background. Lots of pico cutting on that one. Then we have from the birthday girl herself tomorrow. This is a piece by Glynis, and I love what she's done here. She's masked off on the back of the parchment. Let me sort of bring it in. Maybe I'll bring it in on this camera. See how Glynis has created that lovely green panel in the middle. So I reckon what she's done is she's put the verse in first, covered it up with a post-it note to put the rest of the design in, and then remove the post-it note and masked off around the outside, and then taken ink with a brush and applied the colour on the back. Now you could probably do that with the Dorso crayons as well. You just need to mask off the area in which you're working. So that's a lovely piece of artwork from Glynis. And then the final piece I've got to show you is from Jane Telford. Lots of lovely white work and combining other poetry plates in the design as well. So last week we started to look at the colouring. Well, we didn't start, we carried on with the colouring, didn't we? Because, let me move these plates out of the way. Let's pop those to one side. So we'd already coloured in, I'd already had a practice on my leaves with the different technique I wanted to use. Okay, and I think I opted for the scribble and blend on the mix mat to apply the colour on my frame. And then for the rose, look, I kept a note. So rose is yellow undercoat and red blend, Dorso crayons on the mix mat. Because I knew come this week, I would have forgotten exactly how I did it. So that's where we're going to continue our journey this week. Okay. So let's get started. So what we're going to need, for today, we're going to need our piece of artwork. We need our Dorso crayons, the lively and the natural. We're going to need our mix mats. We're going to need our blending pen with some nibs, our Dorso oil. Let's see, where's some nibs? Just so you can see, just in case you're watching in silence, some nibs. I think that's all. A good thing to have is an eraser pencil as well, in case we go over the edges. So that's what we're going to be working on today. We're going to finish off the rose, and we're also going to, I think I might introduce the pencils as well to add a little bit more depth to the colour, because you can put the pencils on the back as well. So yeah, that's what we're going to have a play with today. So we'll just leave that picture there. Oh, poor Glynis, hospital appointment tomorrow. Find out how her hip is doing because it was done on her birthday many years ago. Oh dear. I'm sure you'll go out for a lovely meal afterwards, won't you, Glynis? I'm sure Pete will treat you to something nice. Maybe some cake. Lots of cake, maybe. So, okay. So are we good to go? I reckon we're good to go, don't you? I think we should chill out. Got my glasses as well, and we'll do a little bit of colouring. So do we have any newbies in the room today? Last week we had a number of new people. Oh, cream tea. Lovely, Glynis. I had strawberries and cream with meringue last night. That was lovely. Okay. So last week we put a base coat down of yellow on the back of the rose. And then I took the red and introduced some red at the base and drew it out with the blending nibs. So when we turn it over, we've got a really nice, because I wasn't sure whether to go for yellow or red or orange or pink. There's so many choices to go for when it comes with rose. But maybe if you're making this for somebody, maybe they have a favorite color flower or rose. So you can personalize it for them as well. Glynis, what is your favorite color rose or flower? Go on, let us share with us what your favorite color is. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I forgot spot on sponge as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in now. So blending pens are back in stock if you're looking to top up. Let me see which way I'm coming in. I'm going to come this way. There we go. I'm going to come in as close as I can so we can really pop that in place. Okay. Orange and yellow is Glynis's favourite. Well, there you go. How excuse me, how perfect is that then? Okay, so let's put some Dorso oil onto my spot on sponge. Childproof, can't even get the lid off. Put a little drop of Dorso oil just on there. And then all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some oil on the nib, and then I'm going to reactivate the red that I was using last week. Okay. And now I can decide exactly where I want to put that red. So I'm just putting some red down on the base. Now the crayon, I wouldn't be able to get in as close with the crayon. I probably could just get away with it, but it may overpower it. So all I'm going to do now is just put some red into some various different places on my rose where I think it will have that nice glow of orange on. So it's definitely going to, so I can pick up a little bit more and just put some red. And I'm going on at the bottom of the petal, apart from the kiss curls or the lips of the rose. And I'm just gently applying that colour. I'm going to put a little bit around the top, like so. Okay. And it doesn't matter if we've put on too much, then we can take it off with the eraser. Okay. So now I'm going to go with, let's try a dry nib and see what happens. So if I start to draw that out, what's that doing? Is it doing anything, or is it just lifting off the red? Let's pop a piece of yellow underneath. Yeah, no, it's definitely drawing that colour out. So let's have a look here. And what it's doing, yeah. So I'm using a dry nib to draw that red out. I think if I put Dorso oil on the nib, I think it would have diluted it too much. Okay. Whereas with the dry nib, because I've just applied the red, I think it's working better. What do you think? Do you agree? Or should I have gone with a wet nib, so to speak? I think this works really well. Sometimes it's all about having a bit of a play. And because I put this yellow down last week, the Dorso oil has definitely evaporated. So it's sort of like, I suppose it's like white work, isn't it? You're sort of building up the layers of your colour. And all I'm doing now is just gently blending that red into the yellow. Let's have a look from the front. What do we think? Yes. Oh, I don't know what's happened there. So what we're going to do now, let's go back to my red nib and pick up some more red. So actually what I'm going to, because I want this orange, didn't I? That's what I said. I didn't want to, so ignore what I said at the beginning. I'm actually going to put red all over the rose. Backtracking, because I wanted an orange rose, didn't I? So now I'm going back to my dry nib, and then I can blend that red into the orange, and I'm just doing soft sort of circular motions just to bring the color together, like so. Okay, yeah, this is definitely what I wanted to do. I don't know where I was going with the other part. Brain freeze. Let's put it down to brain freeze. Now, I've gone over the edge there a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Oh, that was a little bit red. Where did that come from? It's surprised, just a tiny little dusting of like that was just a little drop. It wasn't, well, it's like a little shaving off of the Dorso crayon. Did you see how intense that went? And we can go back in with the pencil and add a little bit more detail and depth afterwards. So this is a dry nib that we're just using. So I did the yellow to start with last week. Okay, so that was definitely dry last week, or from last week. And then I took a red nib with a little bit of Dorso oil and just put some red all over the rose in different places. Okay. Then I've taken a dry nib and I'm just blending that colour in. So what that's doing now is it's giving me a nice variable shade of orange, which I quite like. If I take a white piece of card, you can sort of see it's no longer Lello. If I put, let me go back to my practice piece so we can see the difference on the colour. So if I take my yellow nib that I had from last week, pick up some oil, reactivate the crayon on the mat, and let's just put some yellow down on here so we can see the difference in our colour. So there's my rose in the orange, and there's the yellow. So we've definitely changed the colour of it. Okay. So a question from Mary. They're a wax-based pencil. These are our Dorso crayons from Pokemon. I'm using the lively colours. So what does it say on the back? Dorso crayons are specially made to give colour to parchment paper. The Dorso is also available in 2 different packages, lively and natural colours. There we go. So, but it doesn't actually say that. It just says they're specially made. But they're definitely a wax-based crayon. Absolutely. I wonder why it doesn't say that. Interesting. But they are wax-based. Okay. So, am I happy with that? Do I want to put a little bit more colour on? Undecided as yet. So let's go back in now and have a look at the rosebuds so we can put some, because there's definitely some yellow required in this part here. So we'll go on and we'll put our yellow on first, just like so, because it's just in the tip of that one. Okay, there's no rose showing on there. And then I shall go to my red. Is that my red one? Or is that my red one? No, this is my red one. Oh, I don't know. Red, orange, yellow. Pick up a little bit of red. But you can see the difference there, can't you, between before I just put that red on it. Just a little bit of red. Then I'll go to my dry nib. And then we're just going to blend that in to get the similar shade of orange. So I'm just going over again and just using the dry nib just to blend in. And it's quite nice. It's definitely got more of a natural look to it by doing this. I mean, if you look at your roses in the garden, I've got some lovely roses flowering at the moment. I've got a couple that are flowering for the second time already. But I do love sort of pinks. Well, I love all the colour roses. Back in the day, I remember my mum's favourite colour rose. It was called a Blue Moon. Yeah, it's a lovely lilac-y mauve colour. Maybe I need to get one for the garden. I've got red. No, I haven't got red. I've got yellow. No, I've got orange, pink, light pink. I've got a beautiful burgundy colour rose as well. I do like a nice rose in the garden. Okay. So now we're just going to blend in a little bit more. Okay. So let's have a look now. So now you can see how we're starting to get a little bit of sort of depth to our design. And I still haven't decided, or did I decide last week? Can't remember. Good evening, Jenny from Melbourne. Welcome to the party. Yeah, it definitely needs a little bit more depth to it. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the leaves. Now, I think based on my mix mat, it was a combination of different greens, wasn't it? Can't really say. We'll take a little bit of card and pop that. Ooh, that one's got writing on both sides. Let's have a look. Okay, it was a combination of different greens. I was sort of really mixing them up on here. So let's go to my green nib. And let's take a little bit of Dorso oil. And then blend. I don't know if I've got enough oil on here. Let's give it a go. Oh, yeah. So we're just going to colour in with our green. Definitely need some more oil on my spot on sponge. I don't really want to pop it on the mat. I find that I've got a little bit more control on the spot on sponge and picking up the colour and on the mix mat. That's just me personally. And then we can add in. So there's no way that I would get, well, I say no way, there is. I would get the tip, but I would struggle to the points. So it's easier to use the mix mats and the blending nibs. Okay, so let's go. These ones here. And it doesn't say, I mean, if you don't have the Dorso crayons, you can still do this with the pencils. I just wanted to have a play with the crayons. So I rarely get to use them. And I know from previous weeks, many of you have the Dorso crayons, still unopened in the boxes. So I thought we'd get them out of the box and have a play. Now, I'm not worried if I go over the lines, because there we go, look at that. Doesn't take long, does it, to bring it together? I mean, if I pop the white underneath, you'll definitely see the colour. I mean, it looks very wishy-washy on white, doesn't it? White can be quite hard, especially with the white line art as well. So, and I'm sure there's lots of different techniques you can do with Dorso crayons, not just on parchment, but generally sort of mixed media-ish. Because they're a wax base, I'm sure many of you in the room will have found different uses for them. Let's take a little bit more of that darker green. So the darker green comes from the natural set, because in the lively set there's a lovely bright citrus green, and then in the natural one you've got more of a pine, more of a sage. So you can definitely, and what I've got on here is a mixture, is a mixture of all three of those greens. Should have made a note of it really, shouldn't I? But you know what? Because we're mixing the colours together, it doesn't really matter, does it? I'll just keep going back in, just moving the blending pen around just to pick up different sections of the green. I've definitely got more control with the nib than I would with the tip of a tissue, for example. If I was doing dorsing in a traditional way. Keep going back in. Now, we'll get to a point where you sort of flood the nib, okay? And all you do is just swap over to a different one that's dried out a little bit more. And then keep it for next week, and then come back and use it next week. So there we go. Because I'm constantly going into the sponge, it will get to a point where as I'm applying the colour, it will just lift the colour off because there's too much oil on there. And it really doesn't look as if I'm picking anything up off of the mix mat, but I am, because the colour is then transferring. And I know the green looks a little bit sort of insipid on here, but there's definitely green going down. So I'm going for that more of a darker green now, to put a little bit more intensity on the leaf. Okay, so what have we got? Is it really that time already? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so we've got lots going on at Clarity Towers this week. Barb's got a fantastic, who was in the shack yesterday? I know many of you were in the shack with Barb yesterday, where she gave you a sneaky peek of the fantastic one-day special launching on Create and Craft tomorrow at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. and then it continues on Thursday at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I mean, I've been looking at all the artwork from the design team. Absolutely Fantastic. So that's TV. Then on Friday evening, we've got a craft along at 7 p.m. Same place, Facebook and Clarity Worldwide. I think a new shot's due to go out today, just to remind people. And it's a craft along using those lovely layering frames from Linda Williams. Many of you purchased a few weeks ago on Create and Craft, and from us as well, the lovely Christmas layering frames from Linda Williams. So Barb's going to do a craft along with those on Friday at 7 p.m. And it doesn't matter if you can't join in live, then you can watch it afterwards, just like maybe you're watching this afterwards. See, that's the beauty of technology, that you can, if you can't watch live, then you can watch afterwards when it suits you. And it's all available on our YouTube page. And you can go back and watch. Barb did a moment of clarity on Friday just gone. So if you missed that, that was using the lovely treescape stamps and stencils. So if you missed that, you can go back and watch that as well. Okay, so I think we've got some lovely colour on here. So there we go. We turn that over. Now if I put it on black, can't really see anything on black, but put it on white, you can see the colour, but you lose the line art. Okay, so what we can do now is, I think I'm happy with my colouring using the crayons. So I think what we can do now is look at introducing the pencils. Okay, so I'm going to take my Pergoline pencils, which I happen to have here in my bag, and I'm going to go for the B pencils because we're using the oil. So I'm going to go for the red, I'm going to go for the yellow. I've got a couple of shades, 3 shades of green, and I've got an orange as well, maybe a bit of white. Let's get them all out of the bag, shall we? Okay, so I also need a sharpener. So we've got the fantastic Faber-Castell sharpeners available on the website, as well as the Pergoline pencils. And what we're going to do now, or what I'm going to do now, is let's start with the red. Okay, let's start with the red. I'm going to pop those to one side. So I want a really nice sharp, let's see if I can remember to open it the right way. Yay! So I want a really nice sharp red pencil. Okay, that'll do. And then I'm still going to work on the back. And what I'm going to do now, oh, don't wipe it with your finger. Oh, nearly did it. The dust. Do it with a brush. I'm just putting some red. So I'm just lightly flicking the colour on. So I'm starting at the baseline. That sounds like tennis now. Starting at the baseline, and I'm just flicking out. So let's turn it over and have a look. Do I like it? Not sure. Not sure. I like it on there. I'm not so keen on it on there. But I shall persevere because it's not over till it's over. So lovely, gentle little strokes with the pencil. Just tiny little bits. Now, if let's take a dry nib. See if this works. Because it hasn't been blended. All it's doing is sitting on top. Let's see. Yeah. So you're just using a dry nib. I can just soften out the red. I think this will work. What do you reckon? Turn it over. Nice, I like that. Just starting to sort of bring it together a little bit. It shows how, because the B pencils are a wax-based pencil as well. So I'm going to put a little bit of red. Justin, who's Justin? Just in these areas. And then draw out like so. I mean, you could spend hours and hours just on colouring in. I mean, I'm definitely no expert when it comes to colouring in. If you want to see some really good colouring, then go watch The Shack with Bob. But I think this is working how I want it to do. So let's turn it around. So there we go. Oh, we've definitely got some depth to it now. Yeah. See, sometimes it's knowing also when to stop, where to put the red, because the red's quite powerful. So I'm just putting a little bit there, tiny, tiny. You can barely see what I'm doing. I'm just adding that little bit of depth as well. Yeah, Jane's right. There's like a burgundy red, isn't there? Which isn't as powerful. Pat, what's Pat's telling me? Paul, in the days before we had shaded and coloured parchment, we used Dorso crayon, rubbed onto cotton wool, no oil, and rubbed on the back of the parchment, and you could possibly get shade to make stripy effect blends. Oh wow, okay, I didn't think about cotton wool. I've always just seen the tissue folded into like a point. See, cotton wool just saying the word sends tingles down my back. You know, sometimes like where people can't touch foam, cotton wool has that same effect for me. I can just feel the shivers running all the way down my back. So I'd have to put gloves on to do that. Yeah. Ooh, that's just it. Yeah. But that makes sense. It really does. But I never thought about it or never knew of it until you've shared that with us. So thank you, Pat. So what's Jane saying? You can't always buy cotton wool these days. Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Okay. So then we're just going to introduce tiny little bits of red just to bring out a little bit of shade. Let me find that burgundy one that Jane was referring to, because you often look at it and think, oh, it's brown, but it's not. It's got that burgundy tinge to it. And it is a B13. Isn't that an alcoholic drink as well, a B13? Or am I thinking something else? Okay, so let's have a look. So this one here, so it looks sort of brown. Okay, but if let's take a clean nib, add a little bit of oil, So it's not until, yeah, look at that. Oh, see, that would make a nice, too much oil. That would make a lovely colour rose. So that's the B13, and let me just compare it to with the brown that's in the B pencils, which is the B3, just so that you can sort of, oops, sorry, it keeps going out of focus. Apologies for that. Ooh, okay, right, I think it's because that's moving. Let me zoom out a little bit. I didn't realise that, sorry. That's probably just a little bit. Okay. So then the brown, so you see the difference? Yeah, you can definitely see the difference. Take another nib. Where's my pen gone? There it is. A little bit of oil. So yeah, so the brown is the B3, and the burgundy, or the rich deep red, is, where's it gone? The B13. Okay, so B13. Come on, pen. B13 and B11. So they may look the same when you're looking at the leads, but there is a slight difference in the shading. I just read what Pat Hoskins said. Oh, bless, that's really giving me the giggles. Pat said that with the cotton wool, we used to wrap the cotton wool in old tights very tightly to make a pad for application. That is genius. It really is. And I can just, no, I definitely wouldn't have thought about putting my cotton wool into a pair of tights. So, and I'm sure I know these techniques will still work in different ways. It's just that I've never heard of them before. So maybe I should give it a try. Maybe I should get an old pair of tights from somewhere and see what that does with the cotton wool. The only old tights I've got is from doing bank robberies. No, I'm joking. I've never done a bank robbery in my life. Okay, so now let's have a look at the green. So I'm going to take the B6, which is the darker green, and I'm just going to run that just on glasses, just along the edge, the inside of those. I know there's a word for this, but I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. And I'm just going to go into, I'm definitely going to take my brush and just brush off when we turn that around. So I can see I've got that a little bit of depth, but it's too rigid. So again, a dry nib. Where's my pen gone? You definitely need a couple of blending pens for sure. And then just break that edge down gently. There we go. So yeah, so we've got TV on Thursday, tomorrow and Thursday with Barb, with those lovely Japanese flowers and butterflies you've been drawing in the shack. Then on Friday evening at 7, you've got a craft along using the Linda Williams layering plates. Then what else we've got? Don't forget to check out Barbara's blog on a regular basis, barbaragrayblog.com, and also the Clarity Matters blog that Grace looks after. So on a Saturday at 8 a.m. every single Saturday morning, there's always a sort of a sharing. So if you don't do Facebook, you can have a look on there. And then on the Sunday, there's always a step-by-step tutorial from one of the lovely design team. Normally it's Groovi, and it will be Groovi for the rest of this month, and then next month it'll be a bit more stampy and arty. So thank you as always to the design team for all their hard work for putting all that together, and to Grace for making sure it happens every week as well. What else have I got to? My watch is telling me it's time to stand up because I've sat down for 50 minutes. It's telling me I need to shift myself. And then what else there? Oh, obviously we've got our summer retreats coming up in August with Barb. There's a couple of spaces available on the summer retreats, and that's a real nice sort of mix of projects, from stamping to groovy to stencils, inky. It's a lovely combination of different techniques. It's a 2-day retreat. I think one of the days is already sold out, but I think one of the days there's a couple of spaces left. But if you're into your groovy and your parchment and you want to spend 2 complete days getting in the groove and learning lots of tips and tricks and techniques, then we have our parchment retreat. There's a couple of spaces available on the parchment retreat, and that's at the Spa Hotel in Tunbridge Wells. The summer retreats are in Ditton, where we have our annual open days. And then the parchment retreat is at the Spa Hotel in Tunbridge Wells. So if you want any more information, Sue will pop the links up to those to make it easy for you to find. But if you want some more information, then you can give Sue, lovely Sue, a call, and she can help you out on the phone as well. So if you've got any questions you're not sure about, and if you're coming on your own, don't be afraid, because there'll be many people there that are coming on their own. And by the end of the 2 days, you won't be on your own, because you'll make many a friend. And some of our lovely Clarity friends met at various open days and workshops and have been friends ever since. And they use it as an opportunity once or twice a year to get together, catch up. So there you go. Sue's put her email address up there for you, and she's also put the telephone number on there if you want some more information. Thank you, Sue. Okay, so again, it's knowing when to start to add the colour. But I quite like what you'll notice I did was I just took that dark green pencil and I just went into the stems that were showing through very lightly, and on the lily of the valley just at the top, and then just take the nib and just wipe over with the nib like so. One that will sort of just soften the colour in. So there we go. Cheryl Knight came for the first time last year and made a lovely new friend. Was that the summer retreat, Cheryl, or was it the parchment retreat? Which one was it? Not that it makes any difference, but it's just nice to know. Or was it both? Because many of you do attend both of the retreats, both the summer one, and the parchment one as well. I wonder if I take some orange now, if I put some orange on here. I don't know if this will might do something. Might not. See, the orange is very close on that, isn't it? See you later, Pat. Thank you for your wonderful knowledge as always and your company. Enjoy the rest of your week and look forward to seeing you in the shack next week with Bob. So, and I'll try and remember that tip with with the tights and the cotton wool. Thank you. Okay. So I'm just going in and just softening out all the colour. And if I think, okay, maybe I've gone a bit too over the top with that red, then I can take my razor pencil, make sure it's clean. Hang on, let's open the sharpener the right way. Make sure it's clean. I haven't got any other colour on the eraser pencil. Okay. And I can just very gently, and I mean very, very gently, just go over and then take a brush. Yeah, I've definitely taken some off of there. So for example, so if I go on to here and say I wanted to put something, so very, very lightly, look, if that very, I'm not putting any pressure on there, and you can definitely see how the colour is lifting away. So if you're ever worried about, see, maybe I've gone a little bit, but it is a very, you could use the pink one as well. I've just got the white one here at the moment. But you can very gently just lift away and then go around the outside if you've gone over the edges anywhere. And this will work both with the pencils and also with the crayons. See, so for me, the eraser pencil is my safety net when it comes to colouring. See, not on this one, this is a little bit harsh here. So I can soften that one down, soften that one, soften, that was bugging me, that was. There we go. So now we're starting to build up our colour. There we go. I like that. I like it a lot. And I can, next week, I'm going to go, when we come back next week, we're going to put some more colour on the back as well. So I think that's everything. I can't believe it's approaching 11 o'clock already. I'm sort of looking above the camera because that's where the clock is. So thank you once again for your company. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I have. I always enjoy our little chats every Tuesday, and your company. Thank you to Sue for all her help. If you've got any questions about anything, then you can always give the office a call, and Sue can help you out. The design team are always available over on Groovi Worldwide and Clarity Worldwide on Facebook. Fantastic place to go and look for sort of ideas, inspiration, help, asking questions. It's all about sort of sharing the love of Groovi and crafting generally. So thank you. It really does mean a lot that people come back week after week after. It may not come back every week, but I know many of you do, and that's really appreciated. So so don't forget, Barb's on TV tomorrow at 6 and 9, and then Thursday at 10 and 2. Then Friday evening, craft along using the first set of layering plates from Linda Williams. And then on Monday, it's back in the shack with Barb, and I'll be back with you again on Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of the week, whatever you're up to, and I will see you when I see you. Take care now. Bye-bye.